Hello! Welcome to Blockbuster Backrooms, a show where we take a scroll through horror each week and decide if it's a good time. Today, we're looking at Incarnate, a 2016 horror directed by Brad Peyton and written by Ronnie Christensen. Incarnate is a movie I feel needs another chance, even if it's just for the interesting ideas it presents. It's one of the films that kinda feels forgotten, proven more so by the fact I found it at the bottom of a bargain bin a few years ago. So, let's take a look, shall we? We start by seeing a young boy walking home with his mum. While his mum fiddles with her keys, he notices a homeless chick sifting through the trash across the street, before he's herded inside. As they unpack groceries, the mum's phone goes off and the kid, Cameron, asks if it's his dad. Mum says no and they make dinner. Later that night, Cameron sneaks his ma's phone and listens to the voice messages his dad's been leaving. We gain some insight here, learning that the dad's pretty much out of the picture for hurting his son. He's been calling the mum a lot, but just before Cameron can hit call back, his ma knocks on the bathroom door, checking up on him. Later that night, there's a thud, and Cameron's still awake, so he goes to check it out. His mum's asleep in her room, so our boy goes to take a look by himself. Turns out the homeless lady from before had broken in, and she attacks him. Well, kinda. She jumps down on him from the ceiling, and they low-key wrestle for a few seconds before the lady stops, really confused as to what's happening. Before she can get up, Cameron pushes her back and snaps her neck. He then turns to the camera with red demon eyes. Alright, okay. I know what you're thinking. You're going, Serena, red demon eyes? That sounds a little cringy, bro. And you'd be right. However, you gotta keep in mind that demons are pretty hard to pull off well, and contacts in the eyes seem to be one of the more common ways to show any kind of possession. Excluding one of the very end scenes, that's how our demon babes are shown through the show. I think for anyone who's seen early seasons of the show Supernatural, you'll be getting a lot of the same vibes, but I'll talk more about that later. The title card appears and transitions us to a club where we meet our main protagonist. Our main man, Seth, goes up to a dude sitting with a bunch of pretty girls. Seth throws a lighter at the guy that has some sentimental value attached to it. Then he just starts ripping on this dude, telling the guy he has no social life and women don't even look in his general direction. That right now, we're in his head, and he's basically dreaming. As this happens, we also get introduced to some of the law and rules of the universe. We learn that all the clocks stop at the exact same time, which is the time our babe would have entered the dream world we're currently in. While they're talking, security comes over, and Seth beats them up before they can escort him out. Also, can I just point out that one of the bouncers caught my eye? I was like, damn, boy, who are you? Turns out, he was Mark Henry. Don't know who that is? Don't worry, I didn't either. He's actually a crazy strong weightlifter babe who's been to the Olympics. Bro, that's fucking wild. Anyway, I should probably focus on the movie. Seth tells this dude to look out the window. Upon doing so, an unsynced reflection of himself stares back at him with hollow black eyes. Not gonna lie, the effect doesn't look good at all. But we're gonna move past it because it's only on screen for less than a second. Our dude now believes Seth, and they both eat themselves out of there. The corridor they run down starts to repeat and loop itself. Seth tells this dude that he needs to think of his favourite colour, as one of the chicks that was cuddling up to him earlier appears with spooky demon eyes. Our guy tells Seth, green, and a green door appears. They run into this newfound room, which is empty, bar a single window, and, well, it's completely green. We're a solid 4 or 5 stories up, and Seth's like, bro, you gotta jump. As he tries to convince this dude to throw himself out the window, the demon chick is banging on the door, screaming to be let in. She eventually forced her way into the room and asks her dude to come back with her. He actually seems to consider it for a second, but this kind of weird glitch thing happens over her body, and the man's just like, yeah, nah, and throws himself out the window. We cut to the same dude in his office as he vomits up steaming black goo before passing out. This is where we officially meet Seth as he wakes up. Pulling wires and stuff off of himself, he starts talking to a punk dude that works with him, saying that Maggie wasn't there and they've lost track of her. This is the second time we've heard mention of Maggie, as the demon chick from before also mentioned something about her. At this point in the film, we don't know why, we just know that they're hunting this chick. The dude Seth rescued comes to and is like, whoa, you were in my dream. And Seth's like, nah, it wasn't a fucking dream, mate, as he wails himself out. Okay, so 2 things. 1, our boy Seth's in a wheelchair. It never impedes his character, and it's never pointed out to us. It's just there, which I like. In fact, Seth actually kind of beats the shit out of a guy later, but we'll hold off on that for now. And 2, Seth had a kind of almost generic bad cop vibe going on, and, well, he's tired, over it, and super blunt with peeps. It can actually be pretty funny at times, not gonna lie. He does care about people though, like the 2 babes he works with. He's played well, and he is an enjoyable character. Right, so back at their base, Oliver, that's the punk babe, is talking to Steph. We learn and see that what's happening to Seth in people's heads is affecting his body in real life too. Oh, I should probably point out, in the movie, they will refer to him as Ember, and when I was writing this, I thought I should use his first name, and his character's first name is Seth. But because he is considered a doctor, everyone just calls him Ember, so like, yeah, I'm gonna keep calling him Seth though. Anyway, doesn't matter too much, we're moving on. Right, so what's happening to Seth in people's heads is affecting his body in real life, right? And we're shown a mark on his wrist where Dream Security had grabbed him. Oliver wants to take a break. Give Seth's mind and body a chance to heal a bit before they continue their hunt. As they talk, we scroll over some of their research and see an article clipping about a car crash that killed the mother and son. Seth was in that car crash, and is the only survivor. The lady that caused the crash was named Maggie, hence the name of the demon we're hunting. Not gonna lie, I like the fact that they only know the entity by the name of the lady it was possessing when he first met it. Of course, we don't actually learn any of this properly until later in the film. It's just been high-key hinted at right now, so I'm gonna leave it there for a bit. We then meet Ilsa, the third part of our team. She has some potential leads to investigate as to where Maggie may have gone. We get some banter between the characters, getting to see how their relationship with each other vibes. She then tells Seth that a chick from the Vatican is waiting outside to talk to him. They end up talking, and there's some obvious tension between the characters. The lady, Camilla, wants Seth to perform an exorcism and offers him a lot of money to do it. They have some back and forth, and she eventually asks what he has against the church. To sum it up, he explains that what's happening, what they do, doesn't belong to any one religion. That in truth, it's just a parasite that latches onto people. So in turn, he doesn't serve any religion. He's not interested in who this entity has latched onto. She tells him it's a little boy, and he says it's not his problem. Camilla then tells him it's Maggie inside the kid. Of course, Seth's skeptical, saying the church has tried this trick before. Camilla just lays out what she knows, hands over her card, and lets Seth know that they have 3 days before the kid dies. Seth goes to visit an old friend, a priest named Felix. He wants to have some real confirmation that it's Maggie and the kid, so he doesn't waste his time. Turns out, Felix is the dude that taught Seth to enter people's minds and free them from whatever entity's possessing them. He admits to being unsure if it's actually Maggie inside the kid, as the church has excluded him from this one. Seth points out that their conversation wouldn't have lasted this long if he didn't know anything. So, Felix ends up showing Seth a special vault. Inside is a possessed babe, whose original person/mind is long gone. Felix has been experimenting on this dude, having decided it's time we learn about them, since they know so much about us. This is when he admits to knowing that it's Maggie inside the kid. He also presents Seth with a vial filled with his own concoction, saying it'll give Seth 10 seconds of clarity. Basically, if shit hits the fan, big time, our boy injects this and it'll give him just enough time to kill himself so he can avoid a fate worse than death. Seth refuses the vial and leaves. This interaction with Felix always got me thinking, Seth is kinda disgusted when he sees what Felix is doing. But we learn that the man's not really a dude anymore. Even if he's still in there, in his body, he's beyond saving at this point. Hence why Felix is willing to try experiments on this guy. These people that are taken over live in their ideal world, albeit it's inside their head. So even if this dude was still alive in there, he'd at least be happy and thinking he's living his best life, you know? He's in his ideal world. I bet there's a lot of people who'd opt to stay in there and enjoy that make-believe paradise if they could. It might sound bad and selfish, but there's definitely situations and circumstances where people would be like, fuck it, I'm staying here. What do you guys think you'd opt for? Currently, with how my life's going, I'd yeet myself out of here. Mainly because of the people I love. I wouldn't want my newly piloted meat suit of a body doing anything that would hurt these people in any way. I've also sunk a lot of time, money, and work into my life so far, so I'd honestly just come back to the real world out of spite as well. I'm gonna achieve this shit for real, not have it handed to me in a serotonin-fueled hallucination. However, when I was younger, I would have probably opted to stay in that hallucinated dream world, wallowing in that happy dopamine dream. Wild how much life changes, huh? Anyway, we should get back on track. So our man Seth is on his way to Cameron's, getting briefed by Camilla. We learn that the dad broke his arm, which is why he's out of the picture now, and that Cameron's mum doesn't know anything about Seth's connection to the thing inside her son. Once there, it's kind of funny watching Camilla try and explain in a super soft and nice way about who Seth is and what he does. Then Seth just straight up tells her everything, just straight. Because, let's face it, Camilla was doing a terrible job. If the mum asked a question, she got a very blunt and honest answer. Seth explains how he basically goes into people's heads and kicks out the thing possessing them. We also learn that if it can't jump to another person after being evicted, then it dies. Cameron's mum asks if he's done this before, and our man just whips out his phone and shows her a video they recorded. I know all this is serious, and it does give off the correct vibes, don't get me wrong, but something about his blunt honesty and lack of caring has me giggling inside a little bit. The mum gives an okay for Seth to do his thing. They have a priest sitting outside Cameron's room, and oh man, he gives Seth such a dirty look. He really ain't a fan, eh? And it's wild rude. Seth goes into the room and talks to Cameron. I gotta admit, it's a little cringy whenever Cameron talks, and even more so when he lunges for Seth. Just as Seth's leaving, Cameron says something in a different language, which we'll later learn is the same thing Maggie said after crashing into the car. Seth's on a mission now that he's confirmed it's Maggie, and he tells Camilla to get out of his way so he can get his team up here and deal with this shit. We have a little montage of everything getting set up. They keep their equipment in what looks like instrument boxes and stuff like that, which I love. It's a really cool touch. They even got stickers on them and everything. Oh, I dig it. The dudes even set up a live feed to the TV so that Cameron's mum can watch everything that's happening because she's been complaining about not being able to see her kid, which is a fair complaint. We get to learn some more about how everything works too. We learn that they lower Seth's heart rate to get him as near to death as possible so he can get into babes' heads, and that they also have adrenaline shots to bring him back just in case, well, something goes wrong. Our man only gets 8 minutes before he has to wake up, or else it's bye-bye Seth. Our babe jumps into Cameron's dream, where the kid's playing catch with his dad. Seth approaches Cameron, but is stopped before he can say much, as Cameron points out that he's bleeding. Seth's confused, as he is indeed bleeding from a wound on his stomach. It just kinda comes out of nowhere. A man runs over to help him, and while distracted, Cameron and his dream dad leave. Seth's spitting up blood when the man helping him goes full demon babe on him and rips out his guts. I know it sounds gory, but it really isn't. In fact, it's the least gory gut wrench I've ever seen. We cut to Seth being forced awake by Oliver. Our man here done flatlined. Seth's clearly shaken, but refuses to be taken to the hospital, despite almost dying. He instead tries to compose himself in the bathroom while spitting up blood. We left off with good old Seth spitting up blood after trying to help Cameron for the first time. So, after this, we're talking to the mum, and we learn that Cameron used to play ball with his dad in the park. Seth wants to know where he can find the dad, and the mum gets upset, hating that the man who broke her kid's arm needs to come here, and also heartbroken at the fact her boy still loves and wants to spend time with a man who couldn't even say he loved him on top of everything else. She won't tell Seth where to find the guy, and Seth actually snaps a little bit. She eventually gives us the information, and one of my favourite scenes ensues. So, Seth goes into this biker bar, deadass drinks a random dude's drink, and is just like, I'm in a wheelchair, while dismissing this guy. And then Seth finds the dad, and when he doesn't care that his kid's in trouble, Seth full-on throws him out of his chair, and this dude dead ass throws a punch back at him, and Seth just blocks it and starts choking the dumbass. The dad really does suck in like every aspect. He's so bad. Right, so they all get back to the house, and having caught the dad up on what's happened, they then tell him what he has to do, which is basically just go and talk to his son. Seth is super adamant and clear about the fact that he can't touch the boy, and if anything goes wrong, they'll pull him out of there. So the dad goes in. He's talking to Cameron about time they've spent together, and Cameron does start to react. Stuff gets real emotional as the dad apologizes for all he's done, and Cameron says he forgives him. The dad gets too close though, and Cameron snaps his arm in half before killing him. Oh man, it's such a satisfying snap, and the wound is wild. I like it. They cut the body off, and the mum ends up getting real mad at Seth. She wants to know why he's really here, as some of the things he said don't line up with wanting to help her son, and now a man's dead. Seth's like, why does the reason matter? I'm still helping your son. And the mum gets even more mad. It's not a reaction I fully understand, to be honest. You're in a crazy desperate situation right now, but you want to throw the man who's trying to save your kid out of the house just because you don't know why he wants to help. It's just, I honestly don't think I'd care about Seth's motivation at this point if I was the mum. Like, save my kid. I don't care why you're doing it. Just do it, bro. If the church begrudgingly called you in to help, then you must be good at what you do. I know this is just a setup so that Seth can explain all the things we've touched on up to this point, but she just really annoys me in this scene. So, Seth explains that he's always been able to enter people's dreams, but after seeing what other people with the same ability have had to go through, he decided to hide the fact he could do it. Until one night when he was driving with his wife and kid, a lady smashed her car into theirs, killing his wife and kid while crippling him. Somehow, Maggie sensed his power and has been doing shit to him ever since. I don't know how she sensed it though. Maybe demons have noses as strong as the creeper. Nah, jokes aside though, it feels a little forced, not gonna lie. The mum seems kinda shocked. Like, oh my god, there are other reasons this man's here to help, and this complete stranger isn't just doing this out of the goodness of his heart? Whoa, it's almost like people have their own lives and things that drive them. Crazy. Right, and you could be saying, but Serena, maybe she's shocked because this is shocking information. And I guess that could be a point. Like, oh no, it didn't really feel like that's how it came across. But even if that was the case, when I've been given like shocking things from customers to me at work, like you say, how's your day going? And they say something really out of left field, kind of like this, you just go, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That's really sad. And then you finish taking their order. So, oh no, maybe I'm just not reacting properly to shocking news. Anyway, while this is happening, the entity starts feeding on Cameron's energy. Ilsa and Oliver are like, boss, the kid's got like 2 hours to live at this rate. Seth tells them to make sure the kid doesn't die, and he just straight up leaves. He goes back to Felix's, finding the place trashed and the cell holding the possessed man wide open. He grabs a knife and the vial that Felix offered to him before. As he's leaving, he notices Felix passed out and goes over to check on him. He's okay, saying that the demon broke out and may still be there, so they should go. As they leave, Seth notices some blood on a crate and goes over, thinking maybe he can kill the demon in a surprise attack. He flips the lid of the crate off, revealing only the upper torso of the man, the entity having jump bodies over to Felix. He low-key attacks Seth, but then just admits that he's Maggie's prey and ends up slitting his own throat. I did like Felix, so I was a little sad to watch him go, but this demon just straight up killed itself, bro, which I found kinda silly. Back at the apartment, Camilla's mad he left and wants to stop him from doing his job, which I find super stupid, when by this point they probably have about an hour max before the kid dies. Seth asks the mum for something of Cameron's that has some real sentimental value attached to it. He sees a ring in a photo and is like, that. The mum's sad about the ring, saying it belonged to his dad, and when they left, she took it away. But he valued the ring so much. Seth takes a moment to remind her that just because he still loves and, cares for his dad, doesn't mean he loves her any less. That she's still super important to him, and Cameron would be lost without her. Honestly, I think she really needed to hear that. Right, armed with the ring and having given Oliver special instructions, Seth goes back into Cameron's head. We show up at a carnival, and Seth finds Cameron and starts to talk to him. His imaginary dad acts tough, but gets smashed by Steph, just like in real life. Seth shows Cameron the ring, and our boy starts to question stuff. This is where our demon friend fucks up. Right, his eyes have gone back to being black already, but I don't think he realizes. And he grabs Cameron and is like, of course I'm your real dad, Cameron. I love you. Seth's just like, nah, bro. You know your real dad could never say he loved you. I don't know, man. It gets me. And this type of thing, it makes me laugh. Your dad never loved you. I shouldn't laugh. It's sad. It's bad. Okay. Bringing it in. So, the dream reality starts to fray a bit, and Cameron runs away, with Seth chasing after. Having got Cameron to listen and believe him, they try to lose the demon dad by running into a clown house. We hit a surreal nothingness, and Seth gets Cameron to calm down a bit. He uses the same favourite colour technique from the start of the fool. The door appears, but it won't open for Cameron, As the dad double tackles Seth, they start to duke it out. Seth eventually gets on top and starts beating the shit out of a demon. Seth forces a silver cross into the mouth of the dad and he catches on fire. Seth then kicks Cameron's blue door open and they both yeet themselves out the window. Cameron wakes up in the real world with Seth. Everyone's happy and relieved. As they're all celebrating, stuff gets weird though, and Seth wakes up one more time, in a hospital bed. His wife and son are there, telling him that he was in a coma. Seth can even walk again. But don't worry, we ain't been done dirty. Seth's so happy to be with his family again, but as they're leaving, he notices that all the clocks are frozen on the time he went into Cameron's head. Our poor man realizes he's in a dream still. He runs, gets attacked by Maggie, and manages to get away. He uses his door trick and runs through, only to be attacked once again. Maggie's full on in a demon form now, and I give my respect to the fact that we never actually see the whole demon. We only ever see parts, and there's this kind of weird blur filter over the body. It's good because I'm sure it would have looked real bad or silly if we saw it properly. I enjoy the restraint that the creators used. It's good. Maggie still has Cameron, so Seth makes a deal with it. If he releases Cameron, he won't jump and it can have its way with him. Maggie does it too. Releasing Cameron, he actually wakes up for real this time, as everyone in the apartment is yelling for him to open the door. Ilsa follows the instructions that Seth gave Oliver, which was to inject the fluid from Felix into him if he didn't wake up when Cameron did. Seth gains his 10 seconds of clarity and uses it to throw himself out the window, falling a solid few stories and crashing into the concrete below. Paramedics show up, and of all the people to get in the ambulance with him, it's Camilla? I never thought about it until now, but wouldn't Ilsa or Oliver go with him? I've worked with Seth for a long time, and actually have a connection and relationship to this man. The paramedics just managed to bring Seth back, and Camilla grabs his hand. Maggie jumps from Seth to Camilla as he flatlines for the last time. We end with Camilla's eyes flashing red. Okay, so, thoughts. Personally, I find the movie good. Nothing super crazy, but it's still a good watch. On the better side of average. I honestly can't tell if Cameron's actor just isn't very good, or if it was the kind of cringy lines he had to say. Luckily, it doesn't affect the film too much though, as Seth is the main focus for the entirety. As I mentioned earlier, Incarnate gives me some strong supernatural vibes. I never watched past the 7th season of Supernatural, but if you enjoyed that show, then you'd probably enjoy this movie. It also has some nostalgic ties in, so I guess that relationship between the show and the movie with those same vibes might cloud my judgment a little bit on this one. To be honest, it would be a good kids horror too. Well, I think. There's no real gore, no sex, nothing super wild. Although some kids may find it rather boring, to be honest, which is a risk I guess you'd have to take. Well, I gotta say, I think the main draw of this film is the interesting concepts it presents. What with the idea of so-called demons being a type of parasite that leeches off of people by basically comatosing them and making them believe that their dreams are reality. Then we have the Incarnates, which is the name for peeps like our main man Seth, who can enter these people's dream states to try and save them. Honestly, yeah, I do. It's a really cool idea. I like it. So, all in all, Incarnate is worth a watch. Part of me can kind of see why it's a little bit forgotten, but I think if given a chance, some people find that they really, really like it. I mean, I like it. And that's it for this week's episode of Blockbuster Backrooms. If you enjoyed listening and want to hear some more, you can find my other episodes at mpr.nz/show/Blockbuster Backrooms. Or, if you'd like to give me your thoughts, you can find me on YouTube and most social media platforms as Shit-imma-artist. That's IMMA, cause I don't use real grammar around here. And I hope you all have a good night. I'll talk to you next time. Bye bye!